this is the following is mostly when you have a Sanskrit name, a soul name. Okay, and usually, not always, but usually, there's two components in the Sanskrit soul name because there's something that does something. Okay, like peace in a state of existence, or embodiment of this concept, or great lightning, okay, or enlightenment that is expanded. There's a truth which is very feminine in events, like Mike's looking, and you got these two components. Okay, this is a tradition. We tend to have this type of approach just to bring you to concentrate on something. We use the Sanskrit words, and we also use their meaning to contemplate what we believe we are. Yeah, turn off your communication devices, please. That's very important to take care of this before we start. Okay. Parathesis. Do you really care about your divine self? Or would you rather stay human? Okay. So if you really want to defeat your human that wants to stay human, prepare yourself to be divine. Okay? Instead of, oh, sorry, I'll get that, and then the entire initiation is ruined for you because you went out and answered your phone. So prevent your ego from creating the opportunity for you to be disturbed. Even if you don't answer the phone, if you hear your phone, well, you're gonna do something, and you're gonna drop. Your human is gonna say, okay, who was that? I hope it's not important. You need to get rid of this thought process. So prepare yourself. Okay, just be sure to, like, I peed before. I won't be going like this like for a half hour. You prepared yourself to be certain that you could be absorbed in the Shakti. The Shakti is whatever vibration we're in, what we sit in. This thing that is everywhere that cares for us, okay, the energy, and get all high on it, this is Shakti. So don't disturb the Shakti, because you would be also disturbing someone else. And they would have created that as a disturbance also, but still try to avoid that. So if it's important for you to be spiritual, we play this little game, which is having a soul name. Comfortable?
And now that I...
Good. You see? Find yourself comfort. This little Sanskrit word game is just to inspire you what you could possibly be. But what you know about your soul name is not the truth. It's still just a human fabulation of what it could be. Okay? So, Vajra does not mean the lightning lion. It doesn't mean that. Although there are the dictionary Sanskrit words that means lightning and lion. Okay? But Vajra is not lightning. There's something else. And Sima is not a lion. It's something else, it's higher. But what does it mean? What is the conscious trace of the thought of a lion? This thing that roars, this thing that is present. It is king. But it doesn't have the dominating effect that a human sees a lion and says, it's the king of the forest, and is very mad, is going to bite you. No. It doesn't need to carry the violence of lion. So Sima, it seems to mean lion, but it's not that you are as a soul. You need to use that name and try to grasp the higher consciousness of that. Okay? Shantyanti, Shanti is peace. But you don't know what peace is. It's not absence of violence. Okay? Peace, there's a conscience. There's a conscious state of being, which is to be at peace. You use that. Okay? Boom. The earth. And now you inspire yourself. Think of the earth. Boom. But there's something else than the planet. There's something else than the gardening soil. There's something else that the plants grow from it. There's something else. that is not what you human conceive of earth. And then you go to Agni, and it's not the fire you've seen, it's something else. It's vibration, it's the movement of subconsciousness, and you kind of find ways to meditate on that. Okay. So now we're going to tune in. We're just going to play a game. Okay. Just going to take the first word of your soul name. Just the first word. Okay. For you, just use Shanti. Okay. You Trira. Okay. And breathe and relax. And instead of saying the first word, Durga, and saying, oh, I know what this means. No. Even though you've been studying it for 25 years, what does that mean? And not even what does that mean. What is it? You use just the first word. What is it? Mahi. Wow. It's feminine, it's immense, what is it? And you recite. Okay? Just first word. Is there someone that does not know the meaning of the first word of the soul name? You all good with that? Good. So you just breathe and let yourself inspire by your soul what it is. Just the first part. Now you will go on to the second word, so the second component. You let yourself inspire. What is that? Consciously exist as it. Let it reveal its true form and meaning and self. Now take the two words, take the full name, say it, and grasp the conscious thought process, the self, the existing as. It is a felt state. And you come back to yourself. And you come back here, you open your eyes, and you're affected by this state of being, but you open your eyes, you breathe, and you twist your spine, you stretch a bit, move your arms like that, okay, try to just, okay, I'm physically existing, yet the state of being is somewhat there, okay. If you lost consciousness for a moment, you didn't sleep, you transcended, okay, which is very wise. It's not going to sleep, you just snap into a rare state of being, which is very good. So sometimes you think you just transcend. Someone who doesn't have a soul name will meditate on various Sanskrit names, or you just pick one that inspires you, okay? But usually usually you take the cities, let's say, or use Brahma, love, and Karuna, compassion. You'll try it with various states, and then at one point you'll meet a master who will tell you your soul name, it will be revealed. But most of the people for which the name is revealed, they actually made it up after reading a 1,000-word description saying, oh, I'd like to have this one, and it's ego conceived. But I know some people that actually just woke up and knew it in Sanskrit without knowing Sanskrit, which is fun. So be flexible about that, okay? So you got the conscious state of your experience, you know? You got that? Which is very different than the dictionary definition you have as a human. And you could not get any idea of what it was until you actually sat and spent time contemplating it. And there's a disciple, which is somewhat advanced, who said, okay, what do you contemplate when you meditate? Well, if I don't do siddhi when I meditate, and I'm not feeling like fixity, I want to entertain my mind or feel conscious state of being, I'll go Maha, Maha, until I get the experience of greatness. Then Vajra, Vajra, until I get this thing which is common to all definitions of the word Vajra. Like there's 8, 10 definitions of what Vajra can be used in. And there's one constant in there, it's somewhat immutable, self-indestructible experience of instantaneous, ungraspable consciousness. So when I find this, I stay there. And when I get it, go do MahaVajra. Why? And she says, you still have, don't you know already what MahaVajra means? Yes, I do. But what do I do not know yet? Considering ascended masters, a few of them, very rarely, a few ascended masters keep on evolving, where most of others just say, great, I did it. And they spent in eternity in a state of bliss or peace, which is very wise. Don't argue. But some keep on evolving. And I love that. That's the way I did it the first time, and that's the way I'm going to do it whenever I pass on. I decide I'm going to leave you guys alone. Anyway. Stop bugging you. So, what am I not yet the incarnation of? What did I not yet physically embody, even in my genes, this experience of what I know that I am, because I've been contemplating it so much, I have quite a good idea of what it is, but it's not about understanding it, and once your mind gets it, oh, I know that, and then you forget it and you go to something else. It's about contemplating something your mind is already satisfied with definition, and now you can take care of existing as it. So now you can, let's say, have an idea of what physically made you to be so happy to care about all these beings, to be a mother and very happy about it. You know, you get, okay, I know, that's the embodiment of what I do. And you'll see what part of you fights the being and what part of you accepted it already. Okay? There's always one more step to do. Okay? So, if you have your soul name, it's not just to pop a few beads and do malas and stuff. Sometimes you need to just stop and have nothing else in your whole human than what you are. But the human Sanskrit words we use are completely inadequate and limited in their definition to describe the true greatness of what they mean. They're actually roadmaps. They're arrows that say, point at this. Okay? If you know the definition of peace, shanti, you don't know that. You just imagine that it's absence of violence and trial. No, it's not that. There's something greater in shanti. So you use the word and use the contemplation to go grasp the higher experience of stillness in everything. Yet it moves. Well, that's weird. Okay? So you do that to grasp higher experience. So in your mind, in your head, there will only be the contemplation of the possible definition, but without clinging to it because you want to know more in existing as it. In your heart, there will only be the feeling of what it is. In your body, there will be the acceptance of what it flows from, and your self will adapt. Okay, actually your body is transformed, your physical body is transformed when you meditate your soul name. And as a soul, you will exist as it, and your human will accept it, and you will start to know yourself as a divine being instead of a limited human identity. So then you're not afraid to let go of your human identity because you know you'll not stop to exist. You know this fear of stopping to become human? Well, instead of shedding away your human but having nothing to replace it with and stay in void, like all the Buddhists do, and even Buddha scolded his own students, saying, that's not what you're to do. Don't spend eternity in voidness. Void is a part where you just do, it's one part. Then you have to get into self, reality. And he scolded. There's a nice phrase on the back of the book, MahaVajra. Do you have it? Does someone have the MahaVajra Sutra?
It's there.
Get me the book.
No, it's, yeah.
It's just there.
Is that it?
No.
It's the big one.
One of the big ones with the Buddha face on it. Yeah, that one. MahaVajra Sutra.
This one?
No, another one. The one with MahaVajra Sutra
Okay.
written on it.
I'm reading it upside down.
Thank you. I just want to use the exact English word. The Buddha, chapter 3. You monks should not thus cultivate the notion of impermanence, suffering, and non-self. Okay, so he taught his monk and the people to understand the notion of impermanence, of suffering and non-self. And then in the sutra he said, you monks should not thus cultivate the notion of impermanence, suffering and non-self. The notion of purity and so forth, deeming them to be the true meaning of the Dharma. What it means there is, don't use my teachings to think that that was actually the truth. Okay? Like those people searching in a pool for a radiant gem, each thinking that bits of brick, stones, and grass and gravel were the actual jewel. You should train yourself well in efficacious mean. In every situation, constantly meditate upon the idea of the self, the idea of the eternal, of the bliss and the pure. Okay, so he teaches about impermanence and suffering, and then he says, contemplate instead eternal and bliss instead of impermanence and suffering. Okay? But this is extremely rare. Not many Buddhists read this. This is the final teaching of the Buddha and the most extensive on reality and the true self. Compared to the introductive basic teaching, stop thinking about your soul, because the idea you have of your soul is not the truth. So stop thinking about the soul. Don't think that there's such a thing as God. Never said God did not exist. It's just stop thinking about it. Your conception of whatever you think is God is not the truth. God is not truth. No, this is not what he said. What you conceive of God is not the truth. Stop thinking about it. And then, in every situation, constantly meditate upon the idea of the self, the idea of the eternal, the bliss and the pure. Those who, desirous of attaining reality, meditatively cultivate these ideas, namely the idea of self, eternal, bliss and pure, will skillfully bring forth the jewel. Just like that wise person who obtained the genuine priceless gem, rather than their worthless detritus misperceived as the real thing. Okay, so this is a little phrase I put in the back of the book because it resumes. This is the entire Mahaparinirvana Sutra in a nutshell. Okay. So where you are taught to think about nothing is permanent, yet there is eternity. There is suffering. There is bliss. There is no identity. Stop thinking about yourself. But there is self. Think about yourself. And then we get all mixed up in the words, in the meanings. Why? Because human words are not appropriate, even at the level of Sanskrit, which is very evolved communication. Even in Sanskrit, are not sufficient to transmit exactly what the experience of the soul is. So, I mean, you know the frustration of this Buddhist teaching that does not bring you what you look for. You know, you understand this? But it does. It relieves you of what you don't want, at least. Buddhism relieves you of what you don't want. But it doesn't provide what you seek. It just deprives you of what you sought to get rid of, which is very good. Okay? But you have these people roaming around with no identity, popping beans, and waiting for enlightenment to come. And the Buddha taught how to go get it, not waiting for it to come. Go get it, enlighten already. Come on, now, please. So easy, do it. When I first experienced it, I said, well, that was so easy. I just didn't know what to look for. Yet it was the most natural state of being. So take the time to shed away what you are not. But allow yourself to be aware of what you are. Don't shed away also what you are. Like those who contemplate non-self to the point that they just dissolve being a soul, and they'll make it. They attain enlightenment, and they will spend eternity in the way they attain great realization, parinirvana. So, if they fix the point in stopping existing, they will spend eternity in void and non-existence. This is how they did it. The Buddha said, no, don't do that. But when they were trying to identify themselves, no, don't do that either. Stop thinking about yourself, but be mindful of the self. Be conscious. Exist fully. Okay. And if you don't have a soul name, it just means that you just have one less toy in your toy box. Okay, it's not dramatic. It's fun to have your soul name as human, but you can just contemplate Om Atma. Okay. Amongst other Sanskrit concepts, someone who doesn't have a soul does not exist. Someone who doesn't have a soul name just ignores it. Okay? It's not the same thing. Okay? But I don't have my soul name, I cannot enlighten. Well, depends. Considering the amount of great beings in China and the Taoists and the Native Americans and the Native Australians that actually fully accomplished themselves did not know Sanskrit, I mean, it's not a prerequisite, it's just useful. Okay? On the other hand, there's this guru, this Swami, that says, you must not be taught your soul name before you're enlightened. You're going to misuse it. What, I can cut someone with my soul name? I mean, misuse it. Thinking in their mind, if you have an ego definition of your soul name, you prevent the true realization of what it is to come in. Well, only for a few months, only for a few years. And then you say, the definition I have of my soul name still did not bring fulfillment. So you start to stop thinking. Naturally, you'll start seeking the experience of it instead of just thinking about the definition. So it's not that bad. But if you are instructed right away, look at your mind. And look at your mind when it starts to dwell on the definition and it's not that. Okay. So if you receive proper training, it's correct to know your soul name. If you don't know your soul name, I mean, Om Atma is a great two concept. It means divine soul. Okay, it's just a general approach. Okay, for whoever wants to do the technique. It's technique. You contemplate something. You apply according to certain rules, until you know how to exist, and then you forget about everything. You just do it, and then you have fun. I have fun playing with mantras. I still do them. I like it. But I don't count on them anymore. I don't rely on them to provoke these states of consciousness. But it's fun, so I do it. I like the effect because it is a bit stronger, because my human is implicated, plays along. Okay. Alright. 5-minute break. And then we do Daikon Gu a bit.